Masechet Makkot Daf Rima Amud Aleph by the new Perek. Elohen Halokin, the following people received Malkut, 39 lashes. Haba Achot Osman was with his sister. Achot Aviv, Achot Imo, and from his father and from his mother. Achot Ishto, his wife's sister. Eshet Ahiv, his brother's wife. Eshet Ahi Aviv, or the wife of his father's brother. Al Hanida, if he's with a Nida woman. Almanan the Kohen Gadol, if a Kohen Gadol was with a widow. Yerusha v'halutza, the Kohen Gadol, or regular Kohen's with a divorcee or a halutza woman. Mamzeret unetina Yisrael. If a Jew is with a mamzeret or netina is a person, a nation that sketched them that they were converts. They were not really converts, also known as the Givornim. Bat Yisrael the natin mamzer, or a natin or mamzer is with a Jewish girl. Almana grusha, if a Kohen Gadol is with a widow who's also with a divorcee. Hayavin alav mishum shnei shemot, he is hayav for two different isurim, right? One widow and one divorcee. Gurusha v'halutza, and if a regular Kohen is with a divorcee who's also a halutza, eno hayav ela mishum ha'apavad, only hayav for one of them, right? So the first list we gave are those who are hayav karet and malkut. The next one is only karet, sorry, no karet, only malkut. And the last list is going back to the first one of karet plus malkut. Hatameh shachad, the kodesh, the tameh person eats kadosh type of foods like terumah and stuff. V'habal mitashtamer, someone enters Beit Hamikdash while he's tameh. V'ochel halev, he eats the forbidden animal fats. V'dam, or he has blood. V'notar, he eats leftover korbanot they're not allowed to have, like korban pesach, if it's left overnight. Upikul, a korban that was brought incorrectly by the kohen in a few different ways. V'tameh, or korban or hegdesh food that is tameh. Someone who offers or slaughters a korban outside Beit HaMikdash, each one is a hamet on Pesach. Someone does or eats, does work or eats on Yom Kippur. Or someone who recreates the anointing oil from the Beit HaMikdash. Someone who recreates the ketoret incense from the Beit HaMikdash. Or someone who uses the anointing oil for a non-correct purpose. Next. Malkut only but no karet. V'ha'ochel nevela, someone eats a nevela, an animal that was died without being slaughtered. U'terefot, the terefah is an animal that was going to die, had a fatal wound, and you slaughtered it. Shekalasim or lasim, creatures or insects like rodents and stuff, or insects. Achal tevel, if you ate not, a food that was not separated for Teruma Maaser, but Maaser Rishon Shalon Tlatim or the Kohen, Levi's Maaser Rishon did not give Teruma to the Kohen, but Maaser Shani v'Hekdesh Lo Niftur, eat Maaser Shani, or Hekdesh that was not redeemed. Maaser Shani is the Maaser every second and seventh year, I believe, that you have to bring to Beit HaMikdash, and Hekdesh is something else. Hekdesh, you didn't redeem it. If you ate those things, also Makut. Kama Yachal Min HaTevel, how much Tevel a person must eat in order to be Chayav Makut? Rabbi Shimon Omer B'Kosher, Rabbi Shimon Elinet. Chachamim Rachamim Zay Kizayit Aleph. Rather than Rabbi Shimon to Chachamim. Don't you agree with me? If he eats an ant of any size, Chayav Makut. So also even eating less than the Kizayit of Teva Shmei Chayav. Amr the Chachamim told him, yes, the ant's different because you're eating the entire creature, entire form of it that is created. And then Rabbi Shimon answered, good answer. If you eat bread that has a single kernel inside there of wheat, it's also its own entity. Okay. Hayvei katami. The Mishnah mentioned karet and avirot. That's chayav makut. Hayvei mitot bedin loktan. They didn't mention any isurim that also chayav mita of bedin. How come karet gets makut and not bedin? Matintin mani was according to Rabbi Akiva. Because Rabbi Akiva had hayvei kritot v'had hayvei mitot bedin. This opinion holds that both karet penalties and mita penalties. Yeshno bechal makut. I mean that they can get malkut. Rabbi Shmuel and Bishmael. Rabbi Akiva Omer no. High vekri toteshno b'chal malkut kabayim, only those who can get karet can get malkut. Shem asut tshuva, because they did tshuva, betin shemallah ma'arim lahem, betin of God will be mochel the karet. Havem mitot bedin ino b'chal malkut abrim, but those who are chayad mitot bedin will not get malkut. Shem asut tshuva, because they did tshuva, in betin shemallah ma'arim lahem, but the earthly betin will not forgive them for penalty, death penalty. Maybe talking about high vekri tot b'chal hayim. Karet penalties are included in the Malkut penalty. So therefore, why would they mention the penalty of karet specifically when with the sister? Lidinot karet v'chol Malkut teaches there's only karet and not Malkut. He holds that it's part of karet by the sister is extra, and that teaches you that it's only karet and not Malkut. Okay, my time at the Bishmal. Why does the Bishmal say that you can get malkut whether or not it's a penalty of mita, death penalty, or karet. תקציב פסוק says, אם לא תשמור לעשות את כל דברי תורה הזאת. See, another pasuk says, והפלה השם את מכותיך. הפלאה זו אין יודע מה היא. What is the word הפלאה? I'm not sure. כשהוא אומר, והפילו את השופט ויקרא לפניו, pasuk over here, we're just going to judge hitting and lashing. אבל אומר, הפלאה זו על מלכות, היא מפילה מלכות. וכתיב pasuk says, אם לא תשמור לעשות את כל, mention over here, we see לא תעשה, if you don't do לא תעשה of death penalty or karet, you can still get malkut. That's his drasha. So that's the case. And any positive commandment, it should be a hayav, right? Any positive commandment. The Gemara says not tishmor k'tiv. No, it mentions don't watch. You're not careful means negative commandments only. Don't do this, and you do it. With Rabbi Even already held like this. Anytime it says pasuk mentions him hashemer, which means be careful. Pen, but you shouldn't, or you be careful that you won't do it, or you won't do it. The al or do not. Anyway, it looks like it's referring to lotas a negative prohibition. Okay, yeah, if that's the case, lav she'en b'ma'asen nami, that's the case, and then an isur that has no action should also be a chayav. It's a negative connotation. For example, not doing something that you're supposed to do. The Gemara says la'asot k'tiv. No, pasuk mentions specifically to do, which means only something that you're not supposed to do. The Gemara says lev shinitak la'asen nami. If that's the case, then a isur that you can fix, like muzzling your animal, right? So if you muzzle your animal while it's working, just take off the muzzle, you fix it. So, but you should get makut for that. The Gemara says no. Dumyad lev hasma is referring to the muzzling. It's comparable to the muzzling. If it's fixable, you don't get makut. Now that we brought this answer of the muzzling concept, kulanami all answers as well, positive commandments, isurim, etc. Dumyad lev hasma apply to like muzzling that they're not hayav because they're all similar to the case of muzzling. Okay. And other cases they're not. Okay. Rabbi Akiva hold that only karet cases you get makut and not capital cases. But so it says you only punish for his wickedness, singular form. You only hit him for one thing and not two things. Rabbi Shmuel, what did that pasuk? That one penalty halacha only applies when it's like death penalty, money case. You can't do two. Oh makut makut and money. But regarding death penalty in Malkut, you can combine it. It's like one long death. You're hitting him and killing him. Okay, Rebbe Akiva, going to Rebbe Akiva. Karet also should not be included in Malkut. Ma'amart, what did you say? Shimon said Teshuvah, Hashtim Ilavde. He was worried about Teshuvah. He didn't do Teshuvah yet. Hit him now. Where it says the Margabial, the Torah specifically included Karet for Malkut. The Gemara La'ineh, because we learned the Gzeirah Shava of le'aneh, mi le'anecha from the other pasuk of Malkut. So we see that you have the Gzeir Shabbat teaches you. Okay, the Gemara says Rabbi Mamal. Actually, that's the case. Hayv mito bedina me'ene. Learning Gzeir Shabbat from well from mitad cases of capital cases. It also says me'ene, similar to le'anecha. The Gemara says mi le'anecha. The Gemara says danin le'aneh. Le'aneh milenecha. You can learn the word from le'aneh of karet from me'anecha of makut, and then me'aneh le'anecha. But the word me'aneh le'anecha is different from capital to makut. Gemara says, what's the difference? If it's different, it's different. The first time you did me'anecha and le'anecha, so what's the problem doing it over here as well? There's one small difference, no problem. You see a different case completely. The Tana of Ishmael, Vishav HaKohen, the pasuk says the Kohen shall return, Uba HaKohen, and the Kohen shall come to the house. Zuhi Shiva, V'zuhi Biyah. We learn the exact same halacha because they're similar, not even close to the same word. So we see even different words can have Shiva. If that's the case, how come we're not including it over here as well? By capital cases, the word says, oh, another question is, you have a better explanation to do from the same word of me'aineh. It's more closer from enecha and learn directly from capital to karet, where it says the hagamur le'aineh me'anecha, because you could already learn from le'anecha from le'anecha. The Gemara says Kabla minei Rabbi Shmuel bar Natzak. Rabbi Shmuel accepted that good question. Kidei and therefore he has to fix Rabbi Akiva. He said Rabbi Akiva said that the pasuk says you can only get punished for one thing. One thing you get hit for. But that pasuk is only referring to bedin punishments, and therefore the single punishment halacha is only by bedin punishments, and therefore you can give taret punishments a malkut as well. Okay. Let's say the witness is warned. The guy who's coming, he's killing someone. He says, don't do that. Let's say they warn him for the death penalty. Kulam pligi in met. Everybody holds it. He gets killed, and he does not get makut. Ki pligi wins there machloket by a capital case. The atru by the makut, where they warned him and he might get makut. Right. So instead of warning him for death, they warn him for makut. Okay. Rishma says no. Rishma that once you can receive makut, even though it's supposed to be upgraded to death penalty. The guy downgraded the warning, but you give him the downgraded punishment, but technically it's eligible for death penalty. Tomorrow said Rabbi Akiva Savar left no, incorrect, not a good enough warning, and therefore he gets nothing. Rabbi Akiva according to Rabbi Akiva, yeah, that's the case. That's the case. 1 second, karet technically is a isur that's warnable about karet. So how can you give makut in that scenario? Tomorrow says, "Amar le Rav Mordech le Rav Ashi hachi amar Rav Zimi mehad yom le'ashmid Rava chayvei kritot lo tzrich hadra." Correct sins do not need a pasuk to warn you, right? Pasuk in general has a pasuk. Don't do this. If you do it, this is a punishment. The Torah, however, does not need to write an azhara, right? It's not the warning that a person gives before, like a testimony. You don't do that, or else you get punished. That's different. We're talking about the pasuk of warning. So he says, no, pasuk does not have to give a warning. Remember, it says, "Shari Pesach Milah," we see in the case of Korban Pesach and Brit Milah. Anash Afa Pesach Lo is here. So I punish someone, even though there's no official warning for it, right? There's no warning saying, don't, if you don't do Brit Milah, and if you don't do Pesach, if you don't bring a Korban Pesach, you just say, no, whoever, this is the Chayuv, and this is the punishment. There's no official warning per se. Whereas, okay, V'dima Azra the Korban, maybe the warning is when it says you have to bring a Korban Hatat, for these sort of Pesach, Milad Lehu. These two cases of Pesach and Milad do not have Korban a warning. Lamate Korban, ones that you don't bring a Korban because there's no warning, but you still get punished. Who says you need a pasuk for punishment? Where it says Haratam and Lab Hainu Taima. No, but that is different. All Hatat Korbanot that you required, Korban Hatat, sinful Korban, is compared and brought to the source of what? From the pasuk of Avodah Zarah. Just like Avodah Zarah, the way you save yourself from Avodah Zarah is not doing it. It's passive doing. So any type of hatat problems that you have, where you have a mitzvah not to do it by just passively letting it go, this excludes Korban Hatat except for these two, Korban Pesach and Brit Milah, which is if you passively violate it by not bringing the Korban Pesach or not doing Brit Milah, you would still get a Korban Hatat. Okay. Rabbi says the Olam really, like we said earlier. Rabbi Kiva says no makut for capital sins because you only have one penalty. Shem asut tshuva. When he said earlier, maybe they sinned, they did the tshuva. Betin shalmala mochainato and above will forgive them. Mayamart, you said why? Why not? Why didn't we see that work earlier by karet? Because halo avut tshuva they didn't do it yet. Lo psika milta le karet. Karet is different because why? Karet is able to be fixed. You have time until the karet happens, and therefore, until that happens, you get to teshuvah. We're in no rush to whip you. We could still whip you because you still have time to fix it. Versus, for example, mitat bedin, they're stoning him tomorrow, so therefore you can't whip him because he's still getting stoned. And don't tell me he might get freed because if he gets freed, that means if he's vindicated, if he's exonerated, then he's not have at all. So a karet is different because you have time to get rid of it. It's not definitively happening, therefore you can give him makut. And if it's a shuvah, fantastic, it's a shuvah for getting off the karet, but he'll get makut for what he did. And therefore makut can be given by karet, but not by capital cases.